Remember what I said about April's 7% cut in average energy bills? I said, we are not entering a new era of steadily declining bills, just enjoying a very brief pause in upward pressure. How right I was, as usual. We're being told the 13% hike in prices from July, meaning we'll pay back almost everything we'll have saved between April and then, is due to the war between the United States, Israel and Iran. That war has very little to do with the United Kingdom, you may have noticed. But it's having a huge effect on us because our economy has outsourced so many of the things we need since Margaret Thatcher privatised so many of them in the 1980s. And that means this price hike strengthens the position of those who support net zero plans to end our reliance on fossil fuels that we have to buy in from abroad and build up home-generated renewable energy instead. And it's a slap in the face for the fossil fuel shills. Let me explain. As with the April cut, the July rise will last only 3 months because the UK's energy price cap is renewed on a quarterly basis. So the increase of £221 per year will actually cost the average household £55.25 across July, August and September, nearly twice the anticipated £29 quarterly saving between April and June. The BBC is blaming soaring wholesale costs on the Iran war, and other news outlets, like The Guardian, are also saying the war is at least partly to blame. But as we all know, that war is nothing to do with the United Kingdom. Our only role in it has been to protect UK citizens in the war zone. So, why are we paying higher prices? The answer is privatisation while continuing to rely on fossil fuels, oil and gas. After the country's energy generation and distribution system were privatised, shareholders decided that it would be cheaper and more profitable to outsource the provision of the fossil fuels that then served most of our energy generation needs. They bought it in from other countries and joined a marginal pricing system that set prices at the cost of the last form of energy required to meet a country's needs. In practice, the most expensive. In the UK, that is gas. Meanwhile, alternative forms of energy generation have been developed that are less harmful to the environment, so-called green energy like wind, solar and hydroelectric power. The UK's government has been investing in such energy generation and distribution for a number of years, against opposition from the fossil fuel companies and their lobbyists, including high-profile politicians like Kemi Badenoch and Nigel Farage. Since the Iran war effectively closed fossil fuel exports from the Middle East via the Strait of Hormuz, these shills have been calling for net zero investment to be cut and for the UK to return to fossil fuel extraction from our own sources. But this would not cut energy bills, as the fuel thus extracted would be subject to the international controls that currently set gas prices so high. So, while the Iran war may contribute to high bills because the reduced supply of fossil fuels has pushed up their price, this actually supports the argument for green energy that is not reliant on supplies from abroad. But we are still hostage to high fossil fuel prices now. And that makes us prey to another trick politicians like to play on us: the fake cut in the cost of living. When the April energy price cut was announced, it was as the result of good work by the Labour government, even though it was due only to a temporary fluctuation in a volatile system. Suppose the Iran war cools or ends by August. The next cap, from October onwards, would then come down, but probably not to the same level as April, and the politicians would claim it was a huge relief and pat themselves on the back, saying what a good job they were doing. The public would become conditioned to feel grateful for paying only £1,700 or £1,800 instead of £2,000 plus, but the pre-crisis benchmark was around £1,200. Shouldn't we be demanding a return to that level or less? The final indignity is that the UK is currently enjoying a heatwave that is generating a huge amount of solar power for the national grid, cutting the need for fossil fuels while it is available. But because the government only recently announced investments in the energy network that would include better ways to store and distribute such power, it is not possible to rely on it entirely. Yet. And summer already naturally reduces heating demand massively. So a summer renewables boom helps most when demand is already low. The real stress test is still winter, when, if my fears are correct, we'll be paying about as much as we were from January to March, and told to be grateful for it.